A pleasant day to my fellow student. In this video, we will learn how to use the Open File dialog in C# using Sharp Develop to allow users to select and open files in your Windows Form application. The video covers what is Open File, the syntax that will be useful on how to create and customize Open File dialog, and how to retrieve the file path and name selected by the users. What is Open File Dialog? The Open File Dialog component allows users to browse the folder of their computer or any computer on the network and select one or more files to open. The dialog box returns the path and name of the file the user selected in the dialog box. Here are the syntax that can be used on creating a Open File Dialog. Show dialog method is called when you browse and select a file. Initial and restore directories. Initial directory property represents the directory to be displayed when the Open File dialog appears first time. In restore directory property set true, that means the Open File dialog box restores the current directory before closing. Title. Title property is used to set or get the title of the Open File dialog. Read only and show read only files. Read-only check property represents whether the read-only checkbox is selected, and show read-only property represents whether the read-only checkbox is available or not. Default extension. Default extension property represents the default file name extension. Filter and filter index. Filter property represents the filter on an Open File dialog that is used to filter the type of files to be loaded during the browse options in Open File dialog. For example, if you need user restrict to image file only, we can set the filter property to load image files only. Filter index property represents the index of the filter currently selected in the file dialog box. Check file exists and check path exists. Check file exists property indicates whether the dialog box displays a warning if the user specify a file name that does not exist. Check path exists property indicates whether the dialog box displays a warning if the user specify a path that does not exist. Okay. Let's try on our IDE. Before starting to create an OFD, before starting to create a OFD, we need to make a button that will be a go sign to start or open the OFD, and also a taskbar to display the path. Starting to create a file dialog. Open the toolbox or just simply type the syntax Open File Dialog, the name of the file dialog, new, and Open File Dialog. Now let's customize our browser. Initial directory. We use initial directory so that it will be displayed when the Open File dialog appears first time. The title. We name it as a browse. And check file exists true. Check file exists true. So that the indicates whether the analog or the display warning if the file or the path exists. We are trying to access an image. That's why we set the filter for only image and other files, and the filter index for 2. Restore directory so that the dialog box restores the current directory before closing, and read only check 2. To find or display the path, we use if statement that when the user selected or open a file, it directly displays the history path of the file in the text box. So let's try to run. As you can see, we set the title before as a browse. That's why its title is browse. Let's try to browse and select an image. That's why we filtered image open. As you can see, the file path of the image is displayed in the text box. And that's how you create an Open File dialog. That's all.